Yo.
Hey, welcome to the new meta, episode 76.
76.
76. This is the last one that we're going to have before you go to New Zealand to ExileCon.
Yeah, my last stream before ExileCon.
Yeah, man. So if you guys are watching this, no new meta for the next 2 weeks. We will be back on the third Tuesday from now, which is December the 3rd, I believe.
Yeah.
Sound right?
Correct.
Yeah. December the 3rd, we'll be back.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of juice today to talk about.
No doubt. No doubt.
So we'll just skip the small talk and jump into it. Let's just hit up last week's poll.
That's just like you. That is just like you.
you know, 30 seconds of entertainment and then.
Last week we asked, of the most likely classes in Diablo 4, which would you play at launch? And again, this is based on the Reddit leak from 4 months ago, where it said it's going to be either Paladin or Amazon, and then based on some of the lore stuff that we heard at BlizzCon from some of the guys that really are into lore, and they would probably know what they're talking about. So there's 6 here, but there obviously would only be 5 at launch. And so of those classes, which would you play at launch? So ThaPChild, what do you think won, and what would you pick?
It's hard to see without actually seeing them, but if I get to make up my own stuff, I would say the ones that intrigue me the most would probably be Druid or Paladin.
Okay. Is that what you think won, or is that what you think you want to play?
No, I think the winner is going to be, oh man, it's so hard. I'm going to say Sorceress.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of wisdom. I don't know, man. It's really hard, actually. Yeah.
I'm obviously,
and a lot of this is going to be your community too.
True.
You know, a lot of the votes will be from you.
My thought.
It's going to be Necro is what's going to win.
Yeah. So obviously, I want Necro, and obviously, we got a lot of Necro boys in my community. So maybe, I'm hoping that it won. Otherwise, there's no hope for this world. Outside of that, maybe Druid. Maybe Druid.
All right.
Okay.
Let's see.
I got to vote Necro.
That's giving the votes.
Wow, you're right. Sorceress. I did not expect that.
There's a lot of Wiz fans out there, man.
So 28% of the vote says Sorceress.
Hold on, wait, Necro's at the bottom? Holy crap.
Okay, but it's not. It's
your
still
fans.
above Barb. I'm losing my fans. Oh, God.
Oh, my gosh. It all makes sense now.
19% of the vote says Druid. Another 19% of the vote says Hunter, which is /Amazon/DH/Ranger. 50% of the vote says Paladin. 10% of the vote says Necro. What the hell happened? This is just to troll me. This is actually just to troll me at this point. And
it was all the haters.
8% of the vote says Barb.
We'll get into that, though.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
Sure.
All right.
God damn. What the hell is wrong with you?
That's interesting. I'm surprised that Sorcerer was that far ahead. That's a lot. 10%
that is
jump over second place.
Yeah. So, which is funny because if you look at the one that Quinn did, he did like this giant fucking one we talked about a little bit last week. Like Amazon was like light years.
Way up there. Yeah. That's crazy.
But yeah. So not next week, 3 weeks from now.
3 weeks.
Which will be irrelevant by the time we talk about it. But at least there'll be data if the developers want to look at this on the YouTube.
Yeah.
So the question is, we'll spam this in chat real quick. Would you rather have them wait to do like more balance before they launch season 19, or just have them launch it next week? Right? So the options are: wait, let's get some shizzle balanced, or 2, no, we want it now.
Yeah.
You guys can go ahead and vote on that.
We'll stay silent on our thoughts for that.
But can't talk about it.
Yeah.
Don't sway the vote.
So speaking of that, the patch went live today.
Yeah.
We got 2.6.7.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff that I jumped out. Okay.
Yeah, true.
The first thing I just really quick looked for, I wanted to get confirmation of the season start date, which is not in there.
Not in there.
It's nowhere to be seen. I suspected that it wouldn't be this Friday because there's not enough time for them to go through stuff, right?
Okay.
I kind of thought it would be the 22nd because it makes sense if you think about it logically. All right, if they only had 2 days to fix bugs, that's not enough time. The 22nd, which is next Friday, makes a little bit of sense because that gives them 9 days. And then Thanksgiving is the 28th, the week after that. There's no way they're going to do it that week. So if they don't do it the 22nd, then they're going to wait all the way to December 6th.
I don't know.
It's a whole month.
Yeah.
I think that's too long. So it seems like it has to be next Friday, right?
That's what it seems, yeah.
That's what I
But
would think.
I would still have thought it was going to be this week, and I would have bet money on that because I had assumed at this point that this release process would be a little streamlined since they've been doing it, for a bit, and they've been doing it this particular way where they had that 4-day break for like the past 4 or 5 seasons.
It's been a couple, yeah, for sure.
So I mean, everything I would have thought that it would be Friday. I mean, I know there's BlizzCon mixed in there, but I would think that this is already kind of like a streamlined process that they can do regardless. But
yeah,
I'm
feel
wrong.
like this. I feel like this patch isn't as clean as we've had in the past.
yes,
I feel like this one is.
everyone is running around with their heads cut off because of BlizzCon.
Yeah, I don't want to say rushed, but it feels rushed. I don't know.
Sure.
It definitely doesn't seem as smooth as we've had in the past. And I really, even though I understand the headache a second PTR causes and all the extra work and all those things, I don't know, man. This one felt like it was one of those ones where it's kind of like you could have used it to find a lot of these problems, you know?
Sure.
So I get that that's not needed on everyone, but I think there are stages, and I think new sets being introduced is like such a big thing. Mm-hmm. It's not like tweaking numbers. This is like a whole new thing. And also I feel like the nerf that was supposed to happen for Bazooka and for Thorns and those other things, those are huge game-changing mechanics, and those need to be tested as well to make sure that they actually worked.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's crazy. It's going to be an interesting season if it goes through like how it is.
Well, actually, it would be a kind of disinteresting, maybe, because like the format meta could potentially not change at all, and the speed meta will definitely not change. It would still be runs. Obviously, if you guys are kind of in the shadows, Crusader, the new Crusader set, is incredibly strong post this patch. And I kind of think, and let me know what you think about this. I kind of think that they maybe forgot that Holy Shotgun was like a thing, because the set has completely shifted from being a Fist of Heaven set to being a Holy Shotgun set.
Yeah, I agree. This kind of goes back. I think that they got feedback from the PTR, and I think that they actually like really listened to what we said and as a community. I think that they took the feedback and they're like, okay, I agree. Let's add Fist of Heavens to it, and they did that. And then they overlooked it. They overlooked Holy Shotgun, and it's crazy, man.
Right.
It's super crazy.
And the reason I think this is because they say developers know on the 6 set, for the Heaven's Fury Fist of Heaven set, they say, thank you for all the thorough feedback on 267. We decided adding Heaven's Fury to the mix based on popular request, as well because we agreed that it matches the theme. I think that's an important thing to note, and adds a more gameplay complexity. There is still room for tweaks and additional iteration in the future, and we're glad we're able to introduce this set to so many of you excited to use it.
Which 100% they did it because we asked for it. Is what it sounds like there, which is cool. I like that.
Jesus, cat. My cat. And so the fact that they say theme there, so to me, like, the Holy Shotgun, it doesn't really fit the thing, because the theme of the set is kind of like, okay, Fist of Heavens comes from the sky, all the Heaven's Fury runes, but Holy Shotgun come from the sky. So again, I think that this is maybe a symptom they forgot Holy Shotgun was a thing, but I could totally be wrong.
Yeah. And I heard you mention this earlier tonight, where you said just lock it in a rune. Just lock the set into a specific rune. Yeah. And that fixes it.
Agreed. Yeah, and I would hope that they could find out a way to like maybe just lock out that one rune, so we'd still have 4 things to choose from. But at the end of the day, if you had to lock it to one, Blessed Ground would probably be the one.
Right.
But it plays really fun if you play it like the way it was probably, like where your Fist of Heavens is your main damage dealer, and like Heaven's Fury is this like big single target kind of boost, or elite pack boost. It actually plays really fun. We played it before. I don't know if you saw any of that, but I
did a little bit. Yeah. It looks amazing, and it's actually, once I read the patch notes at BlizzCon, I was like, oh, that's cool. And I even liked the set before they did that. Like, so it was already visually a super appealing set, and it looks like it's going to be fun. It's going to be something new for Crusader, and Crusader being able to RGK is kind of cool. I like that.
Well,
It's just a little strong.
Crusader there's a meme, right? So Crusader is an RK. Because you can literally run 3 supports in just the Crusader right now. And it's just a rift killer. This is what it is.
It's just, So I don't know what to say. Part of me is excited to play it, and part of me is like, damn, it's broken. So I think I have to lean towards this. It's kind of broken set, but stuff's so like, I really dislike Thorn's Necro, and I really dislike Bazooka. So I think that those are manipulating mechanics that weren't intended. 100%, both of those things.
Yeah.
And obviously, they even said that in the patch notes, right?
Sure.
So at least this one, even though it was overlooked, it's still like mechanics that are functioning together properly. Not like an overlook or a bug.
Yeah.
So I'm more okay with it, but it's still crazy, man.
And some insights. So one of the conversations we had with some of the D3 guys at BlizzCon is that there did seem to be a very evident push for at least one solo build of every class to do like 130. It seemed like 130 kind of wanted to be the range if they wanted to stick around.
Yeah.
And in those conversations, it's like, well, I mean, every set ideally would be able to do 130, but they did definitely say like we want at least one set of every class to like be in that 130 range, and it actually seemed like they kind of achieved it. Like Veer, people are pushing like that 130 range at like 4K. So they might have gotten that right. I think that Whirlwind would probably push a little bit higher than a 130. At least that top 1% of Whirlwind players that are just like really good at Whirlwind. Seems like Seismic Slam might also be around that range. I think Hoda, like LOD Hoda, might actually go above that because they were already doing pretty well before. So we'll have to see on that. But it seems like that seems to be the case. Like it sounds like 130 is like kind of that benchmark they'd let that shoot for. But obviously, Crusader's way above that right now. I think someone did a 145 in EU solo already. So that's it's impressive.
Yeah, it's going to be strong, man. It's going to be super strong. They reset the era today as well.
Which is actually really good timing, to be honest. Because we don't have to sift through like to find
you
people.
can just see like this is exactly what's going down. But if they nerf it, like, I don't know, man, what do they reset it again? Are they like, oops, my bad, guys, we're going to redo this? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what you do. This is the problem with ladders is if there's no downtime at patch day, like they could, I don't know if they have the capability to end the era and not start the new one until the season hits too, but I feel like they kind of need this a week or two of like, okay, let's make sure shit's good,
Right.
I don't know. At least for the bigger patches like this.
Right. But also, while we're on it, so the new changes. Patterns of Justice for the Monk is currently bugged.
Let's talk about the changes to the Monk set first off, because that's new.
Sure.
So, right? Yeah.
The red text. Two-piece change to be Sweeping Wind gains effective rune, and movement speed is increased by 5% for each stack of Sweeping Wind. 4-piece change from each enemy within Sweeping Wind increases your movement speed by 5%, stacks up to 10 times. 2, attacking with Tempest Rush reduces your damage taken by 50%, increases spirit regeneration. We kind of talked about this last week because we leaked the photos, basically. We leaked the photos at BlizzCon. So that's, that was super great. So now you don't have to run anything on your bar that's like spirit regeneration, which is fantastic. And then 6-piece, hitting with Tempest Rush while Sweeping Wind acts temporarily increases the size of Sweeping Wind, hitting over 30 times within a short period. Sweeping Wind damage is increased by 15,000%. But I think that's...
I'm not sure if that's even accurate.
That's right,
because it seemed like, I think that got changed more than that. I feel like hitting anything with Tempest Rush just made your Sweeping Wind big. So I almost feel like those patch notes are the old ones. They missed the developer note on that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It'd be interesting to see the thing. So does anybody have the new set?
Yeah, I got it. Increases the size of Sweeping Wind and also increases the damage dealt by 15%. 15,000. All damage dealt by 15,000%. So the patch notes are wrong. Cool.
Yeah, patch notes are wrong. So,
which is another, obviously this is a little rushed.
Right. Yep. Yep. So interesting.
But yeah, that 6-piece, like I was just saying, is falling off for some reason. Like, I don't know if we have 100% certainty on what's going on. One things that seems to be happening is Epiphany. Like, you know how Epiphany like gives you that auto dash? It's somehow while you're in the Tempest Rush, it's like auto dashing sometimes, and it's causing you to drop your stacks. Or the automatic, like, was it Cyclone Strike that sucks everything in? That's going off.
They're saying
that might be stopping it.
Yeah, I read it was from the weapon, the new weapon that they added, but I don't know. I haven't got to play yet, so we'll test and see. That's unfortunate, man. That's pretty unfortunate. And then that also Revere's stacks are getting reset too now.
Yeah.
Which is, holy crap, that's huge. That's
I
crazy.
I forgot
huge.
about that one. I just talked about how Veer seemed to be doing better.
So do we know what's going on with Veers?
I think that the stacks of what's it called? The Archon stacks are actually like
the
falling
Archon
off.
Stacks, yeah.
Falling off when you recast. Something I heard earlier.
Helmet's not keeping it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, because that's where all your damage comes from, is when you have your double Archon stacks. You know, that's when you're just, cheesing on things. So that's unfortunate, because, man, there are a ton of Veer fanboys out there, and if their set got broken, they're going to be upset. So
who do you think has more fanboys, Veer or Whirlwind?
Oh, man.
I would say based on my hate mail with Whirlwind, but
you think? Man, Veers is pretty.
Why didn't you tweet the photo? It should have been you tweeting the photo, not me.
See, the problem that you had is you responded to people. You should have just never touched it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why like Bloodshed should have been the guy, because he would never say anything. He would be the best guy.
He would never just answer back.
Instead, I got it. The idiot.
I mean, I could have just kept them all to myself. That's what I should have done.
That's what you should have done, yeah. Agreed.
Could have just kept them all.
Agreed.
But yeah, it's, you're being blamed for the Whirlwind nerf.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
The Whirlwind nerf was going to happen regardless if we tweeted that photo out or not.
Yeah.
It was already in the works before BlizzCon even happened.
No, I did it.
I mean, it's fluff. Yeah. Fluff pinned to the developer, and he's like, listen,
yeah,
you don't nerf Whirlwind,
yeah,
I'm going to kick your ass, dude.
Yeah. Frankie, I was like, yo, you better. I swear to God.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened.
Better do it, man.
But yeah, so Bazooka seemingly not that nerfed. Crusader's a little too strong. Again, Whirlwind's got nerfed and people are upset about it. And I get why people are upset, because like we could have potentially had a new speed, like not necessarily a better speed meta, but an alternate speed meta.
Yeah.
It would have been a Whirlwind. Yep. So I understand why people are upset about that.
So people are still saying that Rats is still far superior.
Yeah, unfortunately. So even with Crusader being as good as it is right now, it's just like
it's not fast enough.
Speed's not there.
Yeah,
compared to like a Rat. So
that is super unfortunate, and I got to admit that I was one of the people that wanted a Whirlwind meta for speeds, just because I'm on something new.
Yeah,
I get it. So it does suck, man. Yeah. But it is what it is. I definitely think that it'll bounce back. I think they'll probably relook at the belt again. I just think it's a matter of timing. I don't think they have time.
Yeah.
With BlizzCon and all the other shit going on, I really don't think. I don't think people understand how much is required to make even a small change like that. They're going to have to implement the change, test the change. Probably going to have to get, if somebody they're going to put this out on console. So Switch, Xbox, Nintendo, or PlayStation. They're all going to have to, I'm assuming they approve the code, test the code, package the code to work on the systems. So it's not just like changing a belt and pushing it out. It's probably a whole deal, a whole process that takes time, So
yeah, and
it's unfortunate, but
I would love for them to figure out a way to buff Whirlwind in the mid range without somehow affecting how it pushes. Like, I don't know if that means, maybe removing area damage like altogether from Whirlwind/Rend, even from like the manual cast. I don't know. Or maybe decrease the attack speed scaling so you can like up the damage. I don't know. But I hope that they can figure out a way so that people can still play it for speeds and it feels really good. That's what I want for everything. Because I mean,
but not be able to push 140s.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that's what I want for like every build. Like every build should maybe have like an item that
if they
use it for speed. You know,
it's a cycle that we're in. Like this
Right.
used to be 30s, and then it was 60s and 90s and hundreds, and now it's 130s.
Right.
And it's like we're out of room to grow.
Right.
You know, because back when season 12 hit, they did a pretty good balancing job, and we were, you know, what were we pushing in season 12? 112s,
Yeah,
115s,
I don't
something like that. Yeah, and so it's like everything was kind of in that range. So we're just creeping up, and
You know,
we've hit the ceiling. So it's like now we have to start nerfing stuff, and that's what pisses people off.
Yeah, I get.
Like people are pissed off because they think the belt was never even live.
Right.
So they're calling it a nerf. It was never even live. That was a PTR test.
Right.
You know, so. And people are super pissed about it because it's a nerf, but this is what's going to happen. Like we have to change our mindset from buff to like things are going to start getting hit because we can't turn greater rifts up.
Yeah.
We just can't.
Right.
So it's going to happen, man. And you know, I don't know if they have the manpower to do a complete number squish reset. I think that would be crazy.
Absolutely not.
But
yeah, I think at the end of the day, though, like if you really examine, you step back, and I think even the devs reiterated this, is like the meta, unfortunately, didn't change. I think they wanted it to change, but it sounds like it's not going to change. And I think at the end of the day, like that's what people are probably the most upset about, is that it sounds like it's just going to be basically the exact same thing from speed to pushing, which is really, I mean, that's just not what people want.
Right. And I agree with that. I just wanted the speed meta to change. The push meta would be fun if it was different. It'd be fun to try, test, and do different things. But the speed meta is really where I spend most of my time, you know? And I think it's where a lot of people spend most of their time. So to get something new would have been like, yay.
Right.
But it's, you know, it's okay. Well, maybe we can make Whirlwind work enough to just get me by, even though I know it's not max efficiency. It's like... I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Rats are so powerful, dude.
They're
so powerful.
They are. And a lot of people are saying, because rats are still going to be the best, it's like, well, if they nerf rats, then they won't sell Necro. It's like, oh, God.
Yeah, this whole conspiracy thing.
Right.
I think they're past that at this point.
Sure.
I can't imagine they're getting that many Necro sales.
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, maybe, but
yeah.
Don't they sell a kit with it all in together anyways? Isn't it called like the Eternal Collection? I think it's like if anybody's buying the game new now, like it doesn't even make sense not to just buy the whole thing.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
But yeah, so patch notes were kind of interesting. The wings weren't live originally; they're working now. And you know, do you have them? Can you show them off real quick?
Yeah, actually.
So we'll show the wings off if you guys want to see them. They're okay. They're not bad. They're not as flashy as I would have liked to have seen. They look very similar to the other ones, just lower positioned on your back. It looks like. So like they go down instead of up.
Right.
They don't hover as high.
Yeah.
They're cool looking. I mean, it'd be cool if they would have had like a blood effect to them. Sure. Like, you know, when she came down in the trailer and she had that big red fruit roll up looking cloak. That's what people are calling. Have you seen that meme? Yeah. It'd be cool if maybe the webbing was red like that or something. But,
maybe.
But they're cool.
Yeah, not bad. $1,500 well spent.
Yeah, $1,500 wings. The virtual ticket is legit. Right. What, $60? I think.
Know. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's $60. So they're legitimately $60 wings.
But for us,
is that higher than Path of Exile wings?
No,
cost? Like, what's the
not.
Most expensive ones in Path of Exile? They more than $60.
$650 pack at the a booster.
That comes with special wings you can only get for that pack.
Yep.
Oh my god, dude!
It comes with a bunch of other stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Like Ziz said, he openly is like, I've spent like over 10K on PoE.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
And you know, he's like he plays a lot, but you know there's gotta be people that are like I didn't know this was a term. Have you heard this term? Whale?
Yeah.
I never heard that until after BlizzCon.
Yeah. Yeah, whale. So yeah, if you guys don't know, a whale is somebody that spends a lot of money on the game. Your whales are your big spenders. They're the ones that will spend thousands and thousands. Yeah. So
didn't know that's a thing.
I learned it from GTA. Like GTA actually uses the terminology like funnily. They're like so GTA will sell you in-game gold, which is pretty much used for everything. It's pay to win kind of.
Yeah.
And they sell cash cards and they call them the big like crazy 10 million ones that are super expensive, $100 or more. They call those whale cards. And I'm like, what the hell? So that's where I learned it from. I think it's kind of funny that they openly just call it a whale card. So
Okay. Interesting.
yeah.
But
So
what is this
the
on
wings,
the schedule?
yeah, cool.
What is this thing on the schedule?
What? Oh man, the Switch.
Switch? What is this?
Yeah. So okay, I'll backtrack and see why I did this.
Okay.
We were at BlizzCon. Myself, Bloodshed, and you. We sat down and we tried to look. We tried to look at the patch notes on a PlayStation.
True.
And I swear I wish this was recorded because it was like three fucking idiots sitting up there trying to figure out how to look at the gear. We couldn't scroll down. We couldn't figure out how to even pull the gear up. Like, it was so pathetic. And we ended up letting Bloodshed play because he's got the most console time of all of us. But even he took a little bit to figure it out.
Right.
And it was just one of those things where I'm like, man, this is kind of pathetic. Like, I've played 6,000 hours of Diablo, and I don't know how to play on a console. I literally couldn't pick it up and play the game. So I got Diablo 3 on my Switch. And this season, I've played it a little bit. This season, like maybe one night a week for a couple hours, I'm going to just play the Switch and try to play the season on the Switch and just see how it goes and play a little console. I've got like 2 hours into it already, and there's a lot of differences. There's like you get knocked back all over on console, which makes no sense. Like, there's more knockback than in PC. I don't understand why they added it. The difficulty seems a lot harder on normal than on PC as well. Like, if you go into normal and you open a rift, like, you really struggle in the rift. It's just not like go in and just grind like on PC. It's a weird difficulty scaling. It's not one-to-one. Inventory management actually isn't that bad once you get used to it. And I know I've heard other people say that, but once you wrap your head around how it works, it's actually a pretty good system. And for the limitations of a controller, I think they actually killed it. Like, it actually does pretty good once you get used to the way it looks.
Right.
Graphically, at least on the Switch, now maybe PlayStation and Xbox look better. Definitely a step back. You know, the textures are scaled down and everything's a little fuzzy, but that could just be Switch hardware too, you know?
Sure.
When you undock it and you're walking around with your Switch though, it's actually not bad. You don't notice because it's a little screen.
Sure.
And it was cool. It was cool to hang out on the couch, man. I played it on my couch for like an hour while I was just hanging out with the family. We ate dinner, we were watching a movie, and I'm like, oh, let me play. And it was cool to like sit back on the couch and play. That was cool.
Right on.
So yeah, man, it's hard to target your movement, like leap.
Shill. But
Yeah.
let's go.
So it's a thing. I'm gonna try to play console a little bit. I figured there's a really big console community out there, and nobody makes console content at all, like ever. So I'm like, you know what? I'll try it and just see how what it plays like. And if I end up playing this season and it's like, okay, that was a thing, and I'll never do it. That's cool. And if I end up liking it, then I'll keep doing that. Maybe one night a week playing it. So,
Switch full time. Yeah.
yeah, Switch streamer. So
Cool. Well, that's interesting. Never would have thought I heard that. But yeah. And so, in the weeks to come, obviously we're going to be taking deeper and deeper delves into Diablo 4. This is a given, right? So this week we kind of wanted to touch on just one of the facets of BlizzCon that we saw, right? The skills that we saw in the demo for each class, starting with the Barb.
okay.
So the ones that we saw Frenzy, which is, they call it, there's 4 basic skills currently in the demo, right? So the one we saw in the demo was Frenzy, which, we've seen in other Diablos, but this one in particular said, unleash a rapid fury of blows dealing blank damage with each of your hits, and your attack speed is increased by 20% for 3 seconds, up to 60%. Requires dual wield weapons. Like Frenzy? So you think that like, ooh, Pog, it's coming back. It's amazing. Or what do you think?
I don't really think that about anything. Like, ooh, Pog, it's coming back to me.
Yeah.
I want new. So, and I know that sounds like super salty. I guess not even salty, but just I don't know. I don't know what it sounds. It doesn't sound good.
Sure.
But no, I when I see skills come back, I'm not super excited because we've played it.
Right.
But yeah, it's Frenzy. I mean, cool. It's It's in the game.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
know?
of the skills that came back, I guess
There are some
it's
iconic ones you know
okay.
are going to come back.
Yeah,
Right.
but I mean,
like
yeah, but we're talking about Frenzy. So like Frenzy, it didn't really get. It could get like whatever the new Barb set is. I guess it could be Frenzy. That's one of the possibilities for skills coming up on that new set. But because Frenzy never really got us like a D3 build, other than like Frenzy Thorns, just for a little bit, like not even, it never became meta. So I guess it's like slightly less like gross because we haven't really delved deep into that skill in Diablo 3. But again, like to emphasize what you said, like, we've seen it. We've seen it.
Yeah, I kind of want new ideas, and it's super hard to come up. Okay, so they're gonna have 5 classes at launch. You're gonna have brand new skills for all 5 classes. That's, you can rename something, but if it still does the same thing, it's the same skill, right?
Yeah.
So like any kind of spinning attack is gonna be whirlwind. Like I don't care what you call it. You can call it cyclone. It's still whirlwind. So they're going to rehash some things.
Sure.
I just don't want 80 or 90% of the skills in the game to be rehashed,
Yeah.
So that's why I hope for that 5th class we end up getting something we haven't seen before, a dark magic, some kind of evil character. But yeah, I mean, Frenzy is cool. It is what it is. It's going to give you 3 stacks, 60% attack speed. So you're going to train up. It's going to generate fury. I mean, it looks like Barb's the same generate dump mechanics, generate fury, dump fury. So what's our spender going to be? Is it exciting to ever really use a generator? We're usually not. Usually your big damage comes from your spender. So
True.
I don't really care how we get it.
Yeah. But just touching on the other ones real quick. So the other one we saw that we've seen before, we had Bash. And in Diablo 4, Bash deals base damage plus 20% chance to stun for 0.5 seconds. Requires a bludgeon weapon.
I hate the low chance to stun on things.
20%.
Like just let it stun. If it's gonna stun, let it stun.
Yeah. I don't know if the yellow numbers mean like that's what gets upgraded when you upgrade the skill.
Yeah,
I would assume
maybe.
yes.
So maybe we can get it to 100% chance to stun.
Maybe.
I don't know. How do you feel? Is my weird thinking that like just let it stun if it's gonna stun? Because playing RNG is just it's like, okay, here we go. I'm bashing.
Yeah.
Oh, it didn't hit that time. Feels bad.
I think it feels less bad the closer to like over 50% that you get. But if it's like 20%, it's like, why am I even running this? Like
you're not going to count on
it.
Yeah,
You hate like builds based on like total RNG. Like it's almost like Man Teal. Like it's created some great builds and it's been great, but still at the end of the day, it's like how often can you proc Man Teal, and like that kind of determines like how fast you can kill something, and that feels bad at the end of the day. So now one we haven't seen before is called Flay, which is also a basic attack. Flay the enemy, dealing blank damage and inflicting bleed over 6 seconds. Requires a slashing weapon.
Yeah, and so the cool thing you can think about this instantly is like, okay, so you can bleed something.
Yeah.
So what if you have other skills or other abilities that
bleed build?
If the target is bleeding, increase X or do X, So that seems like that could synergize. And maybe Bash could too. If you stun something, maybe your other abilities will do more damage. So that could be cool. I could see that being a thing.
Maybe a bleed build. Okay. Sure. It makes sense to have a bleed generator if you're going to have like a pure bleed build. I'm down.
Right. Yep.
And then last is lunging strike. Lunge forward and strike the enemy for blank damage.
Movement, maybe.
Yeah.
If you don't really need a generator, maybe you could use that for movement, depending on how it works.
Yeah.
So
seems super basic, like just up front. It seems like, okay, you move, but it's like
you're stabbing them, you're lunging at them. So we'd have to see it in play.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look exciting on paper, but maybe it could actually be super useful.
Yeah.
So.
And then moving on to Fury, which I believe is the Fury cost skills. They all have Fury costs associated with them. First up, we have Rend. Does that sound familiar? Cleave enemies in front of you.
Yeah.
Cleave enemies in front of you, dealing base damage and inflicting bleeding over blank seconds. Requires a slashing weapon.
Yeah, it's not a 360 now. That's
true. It is a cleave. In front of you.
The frontal cleave now. So
it's different. See, what are we complaining about? It's totally different.
Again, more bleed. So Rend could synergize potentially with Flay, and if there's an actual bleed set or they have something, it's like bleed.
Yeah, bleed.
So bleed maybe a BB set. I don't know. Yeah,
That's all you can really say about it. It's like,
it's there. Okay.
Next up, we have Hammer of the Ancients, which I have coined just now Hoda. I did that. Slam your hammer with the Fury of the Ancients, dealing blank damage to a concentrated area. Requires a 2-hand bludgeon. So Hoda is back.
It's interesting that they have the weapon requirements this time around, though, and because in D3, really, there's not one. You can just
true.
smash with no matter what you have on. And maybe they're gonna double down on the Barb being able to carry like 4 different weapons.
The arsenal
maybe you're just,
system.
Maybe you're just gonna have them all anyways. I don't know if it's gonna really be a thing to like, oh, I gotta find this weapon, or I need XYZ weapon to make this build work. But yeah, it's it's Hoda. So
yeah, the thing that surprises me here is like, so we got Hoda in D3, which has been heavily played. We also know that we have Hoda in Diablo Immortal. And now we know we have Hoda, at least in the demo, in Diablo 4. Which is, it's like, Blizzard, how much do you think we want to play like the same skill in every Diablo game? I don't know. What do you think about this? This is something I talked about the other day. So say they come out and it's like new skills, mostly new skills, right? Like you said before, to reemphasize what you said, like there's probably going to be some staples, right? But mostly new skills. And then like in seasonal content, maybe they bring back some of the things that we've been, like say Hoda, for example. Like they bring in like season 2 to bring back Hoda. It's a new skill.
Hoda. And then it's gone after that, or it stays forever?
It stays. It's just like adding to the arsenal. But it's like when we first play it, at least Barb
they're going to trickle
feel
them in.
Good, right? And then it's like, oh yeah, now let's invoke the nostalgia like later on.
There's definitely a thing with nostalgia. Nostalgia definitely works.
Yeah.
It's definitely something that you can play off of, and it's easy win content, I feel like. There definitely needs to be, it is Diablo, so I do expect some of the things to come forward. I just don't want all of D3's stuff to be in D4. I definitely want to play new things. So there has to be some new things. If they have some old things that you can go back to, like, oh, it'd be fun to play Hoda again. Let's play it.
Sure.
Cool. But for sure, there has to be new things. And I think they know that. So I'm nervous a little bit, but not crazy at this point. Like, I think they're going to... They probably showcased us the stuff we've already seen because they didn't want to, like, tip their hand.
Yeah.
It's still early in the development process, too, man. They're still... PoE's got its stuff coming up, and there's a bunch of competitors out there. Like, they don't want to spill their good ideas and let people run with it, especially if it's going to be 2 years or 3 years. We don't know how long it's going to be. So,
yeah.
What about double swing? How do you feel about double swing?
It's a D2 skill. So because I haven't played Diablo 2 in a long time, we actually saw how it looks in the gameplay trailer, and it actually looks pretty cool. He's like, wow. Requires dual-wield weapons. But and an enemy's caught in the center and get hit by both. There's like this special mechanic. It kind of goes back to Diablo Immortal, and there's kind of situational type effects to skills, and I do like that. I do like that a lot. So I'm kind of down for this one.
Double swing looks like it could be cool too. I mean, especially depending on how they mechanically implement it in the game. Like, what if they give Barbs the ability to dual wield 2-handers? You know what I mean? It's like, what if you get 2 big 2-handed axes or 2-handed swords, and you're just like, like, cool, man.
Sure.
Like, I don't know.
But do you think people will scream like World of Warcraft, like you're copying WoW? Because we know it's like one of the things that Sorceress has is like the ability to turn themselves into an ice block. It's like, wow.
Who fucking cares? It's cool.
Right? I know, but it's like, that's World of Warcraft. It's like you're just...
I don't know. I mean, I don't think you can... I think you have to isolate IPs a little bit, because otherwise you can be like, oh, you stole that from PoE. Oh, you stole that from Lost Ark. Or you stole that
they stole it from their own game. Which I
Yeah.
guess makes it better. I don't really care, but...
Ice block is, I don't know, man. I get it. It doesn't bother me as long as it's not crazy. If Sorceress all of a sudden looks like a Frost Mage from WoW, like, you got Ice Lance and Ice Shards and Frost Nova and Ice Block, Blizzard, like all these skills are like, well, dude, that's like straight up WoW. Then yes, it's an issue.
It's looking like
But-
that. Anyways, so Upheaval, and do we have? Hang on, let me just look through real quick. Okay, so Upheaval, and I actually kind of incorrectly thought that this was Seismic Slam, but it is. So Upheaval, tear the ground with your weapon, flinging debris forward. To me, it is like this is Seismic Slam. This is 100% Seismic Slam. Even it looked like it to me.
Yeah.
What's that one? The one that makes you dump all your fury and like trembles the ground. What's that?
It's
rune?
not Boulder Toss, is it?
No, that's.
Are you talking about the rune?
Yeah.
Oh.
Rumble?
I don't know.
Rumble?
Is it Rumble? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me. All right, that's what it felt like. Anyways.
Okay.
What again requires a two-handed weapon? What do you think about? That was
Yeah,
was the one we had in the demo.
Yeah, it felt like Seismic Slam. Like it just felt like Seismic Slam. So it was super familiar.
Yeah.
And it was okay. Honestly, I felt like it was kind of weak in the demo.
Sure.
I felt like the cone was small. The damage wasn't as much as I expected. So obviously those things can be tweaked pretty easy. So
Yeah. I agree with that too. It's like I felt like in the demo that like fury cost maybe a little too high. It just felt like you're really spamming your left click frenzy like a lot.
A lot. And the damage just didn't seem like it was, especially compared to the druid. Like when you right clicked and did the werebear bash thing,
dead.
Shit blew up.
Right.
Like it was like you saw guts. And then you get in the barb and you did it and you're like, didn't kill him. Let's try again.
Sure.
Didn't kill him. Let's get more fury. So, but to each his own, man. Some people love the barb so much more than the druid. And
next up, we have, I think it's pronounced Whirlwind.
Whirlwind?
5 cost, 5 fury per second. Rapidly attack nearby enemies for blink damage.
For minus 40 damage is what that says at the end. Yeah, minus 40.
Minus 40. This is, I think this, to go back to what you said, I think this is one of the staples. I don't know that I would want to play it, but like, I don't think you cannot have it.
You got to have it. Yeah. Every ARPG has Whirlwind. Everyone. Like,
and it's, it's Diablo's thing, right? Like
it's a thing, right? Yeah, it's got to be in there. So that's fine. I like Whirlwind. I'm sure there'll be a Whirlwind set. It'll be a thing.
Right.
If it's not, people will complain until it is.
Sure.
So it will be a thing.
I kind of liked in you're playing a little bit more Lost Ark, and we'll probably get into that in a minute. But
oh my god, yeah.
How they do Whirlwind in Lost Ark, where it's like you kind of build up to it, it's like on a cooldown, and then when you do it, it's like you spin and it feels really strong, and like stuff dies, but you're not just like holding it down throughout the whole time.
Yeah. Yes, we'll definitely get into that because oh my god, so good, so good.
Okay, now we're on to defensive. Okay, so first up we have Rallying Cry, generates 18 Fury, cooldown 20 seconds. Bellow a Rallying Cry, granting all allies unstoppable. And again, unstoppable, we know, makes you immune to CC.
All allies.
Yeah, and allies as well.
With no rune.
PvP. That's PvP, baby. Yeah. 23% increased movement as well, and 23% reduced damage taken. Really strong skill.
Yeah. It's got, so the thing I like about this is it's got a short cooldown. It's a 20-second cooldown with 6 seconds of uptime. It's very situational, but always on demand. Like when you need it, you'll probably have it. And so I like it. I think, but I'm looking at this from a PvP aspect.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Think, giving 25% reduced damage roughly, and movement speed and immune CCs. I mean, that's going to be staple for PvP. Yeah. So it'll be cool. It'll be awesome. I actually like a lot of these defensives. And because of my PvP mind starts going and I'm like, oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah. I will. So like in the demo, we had Rallying Shout. And, it because it was in the demo, it actually made the Barb feel like less OP because it's like, every other class we got to try had like all the skills were like damage. And this was like the only one that didn't have. So like it actually felt like Barb was doing significantly.
I use it as a movement buff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I was just like, let's go faster.
Right. Right.
So.
But yeah, so like that didn't feel great, but it's still. I mean, overall, it sounds like a good skill. Next up, we have Ground Stomp. Generates 6 Fury, 15-second cooldown. Smash the ground, stunning nearby enemies for 4 seconds. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, it does actually. It'll be interesting in PvP again. This is. A PvP skill. So stun people, and you're going to rallying cry, hopefully right before you do it. So then you get pissed off. You're like, why didn't it stun? And it's bugged, and you blame the game engine and stuff. You know?
Yeah, true.
Sounds good.
True. Now, this next one is super controversial to me. Okay. And I'm curious what your thoughts are. So it's called Undying Rage. Okay. So it's a passive that you put on your skill bar. So it's when it says passive. When you take fatal damage, you have 5 seconds to fight for your life before you die. Killing an enemy in time will revive you and heal you for 39. This effect can only occur once every 2.9 minutes.
Yeah, you know what this is? This is
passive.
Borderlands.
Well, no,
this is
not just that, but yeah, you're right.
This is second win from Borderlands 2 or Borderlands 3. I'm assuming that's in 3, right? Where you die and you can kill something and come back to life. Yeah, it's cool, man. They copied a mechanic from another game. I don't know.
But
It seems really OP, and I feel like it's going to force you to take it.
No. But listen,
you don't think so?
You have to lose a skill slot to run this 2.9 minute passive.
On hardcore, you're going to take that.
But how shitty is that to me?
I'm not saying it's not shitty.
Right.
I'm saying it's a guaranteed you have to take this skill. You know.
That's just how terrible.
Yeah. It should be
you only have 6. We don't have more skills in Diablo 4, so we're giving up. Plus, you have shouts
it should just
on
be
the
a
Barb?
passive? They could just redo this into a passive
Do we want
talent?
passives in Diablo?
I don't know, man. Something a talent tree thing.
It could be in a talent tree. Yeah. Okay. I think that makes more sense. Absolutely.
Yeah, like this is a branch in the tree. Yeah, I'm with you. Taking up a skill slot for this is really shitty. But you're gonna take it.
Yeah.
You're gonna. I mean, if you're PvPing or you're hardcore, you're gonna take it. Yeah.
True.
So. But
I don't know if you're taking PvP because it says you have 5 seconds to fight for your life. Killing an enemy will revive you. Like, is that going to happen? Probably. Like, you're probably just going to run away from your down person, and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't. Yeah. It depends though. If you're fighting in open world environments, maybe there's NPCs all over the place too.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Next up, challenging shout. 25-second cooldown. Fortify yourself for 38. Like whatever that means. I guess that's defense. And taunt nearby enemies for 8 seconds, which is kind of interesting. During this time, you will generate 5 additional fury when hit.
Yep.
So that kind of like
tank
sounds
specs,
supporty.
Tank specs confirmed.
But it sounds supporty. So like I thought they said that they didn't want to do that.
Oh, the Holy Trinity's coming back, sir.
No. But yeah, I immediately read that and I'm like, huh.
Yeah, that's that. So 8 seconds is a long time. You're gonna get extra fury when you get hit. It's definitely going to be a group mechanic. I could definitely see you wanting to run this in a group and be a tank. This looks super support based,
right.
So it's subject to change, I would assume. But yeah, I'm not super stoked about that. The last two, rallying cry honestly is. I don't like defensives in general. Sure. I want all offensive stuff. So the more you think about it, you're just
cool
like,
yeah.
I want kill things skills. Right. So
we got to pick up the pace because we are
okay.
Let's
go.
So kick. Okay.
All right.
That's new. It says recharge 20 seconds, kick an enemy for blank, and knock them backwards. On collision, the enemies you knock them into take additional damage.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can it interrupt spell casting too? And then we could just
maybe I would
make him a rogue.
But even if it's, if you don't think about PvP, like that's okay. Like you can maybe
you can
group things together. It's kind of like a spear, but like you can knock some mobs together.
Especially if not every class gets an interrupt like that. Well, let's say it is an interrupt for PvP. Mm-hmm. That would make Barb super unique if they had one.
It's an interrupt and a gathering skill.
Yeah, and a knockback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. War Cry. 11 Fury, 25-second cooldown. Bellow a mighty war cry. You and nearby allies deal 3.6 increased damage per nearby enemy, up to 50% for 10 seconds. Seems strong. It's kind of like a threatening shout, but the opposite.
Right.
Pretty straightforward. I don't know if I'm thrilled. That sounds pretty basic.
I'm not personally, but yeah.
Now, this is one I would say is staple. So Whirlwind I think is a staple. I actually think Leap is kind of a staple for Barb.
I agree with that 100%.
So 15-second cooldown, leap forward, and slam downward, dealing blank damage.
It's just straight up leap.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's back.
Yeah. Now charge is back as well. So like Barb seems to have like a lot of mobility, like way more than we see, and we'll touch on all the other ones, but more than we see in other classes. But rush forward and push enemies with you. Do you remember old Raycor?
Mm-hmm. You used to drag the whole instance with you. Yeah, man.
I really liked that back in the day.
Did you?
So this, you could drag the whole zone. Like it was fun. It was obviously too OP, but like if this is on a cooldown instead of like being able to spam it, obviously, then that's like cool. I like that effect.
Okay.
Because you're gathering and you're doing damage.
Okay.
You don't like it,
see.
I'm guessing from your tone.
I didn't. So old Raycor was fun for a little bit, but if it's the OP build again, like if it's the thing,
but we're not
I didn't think it was
spamming.
fun
We're
to
not
play.
able to spam it here.
If we're not spamming it, maybe. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. We're good. What's interesting here, it says charge, not learned, but there's no cooldown on it actually. Now that I say that out loud. It doesn't generate.
And it doesn't have a fury cost either, so it's
like
missing something. It's just missing that.
I wonder what that means.
Yeah, because it's got to be a cooldown. You know?
And then we have weapon mastery, primal axe, recharge 20 seconds. Throw your weapon with the chain attached, dealing blank damage and pulling in enemies. So it's like
Scorpion spear. Anyone? Can you
Like
get a
from
come here
Mortal
sound
Kombat?
effect? Yeah, come here. Can you get the sound effect for it every time you throw it?
sounds like Ancient Spirit though. To me.
Yeah, it is. Okay, cool.
Okay.
More grouping. This is again making me think support Barb, but okay.
Yeah, you're right. Rupture, which was one of the skills we had in the demo. 10-second cooldown. Skewer enemies in a line, inflicting blank bleed damage over 3 seconds. If the enemy dies while bleeding, the cooldown is reset. Requires 2-hand slash.
It was fun. It was a fun skill.
I thought it was pretty bland. It looked really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I guess this goes back to the bleed. Like, so you got Rupture, you've got Rend, you've got Flay.
You got all your bleeds.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure there's going to be some kind of bleed build.
Yeah.
Bleed thing. You know.
But yeah, I guess it's okay. Death Blow, 15-second cooldown. Attempt a killing strike. Okay. World of Warcraft again. Dealing blank damage to enemies in front of you. If this kills an enemy, the cooldown is reset. That's literally a skill on the warrior, isn't it?
Yeah. This is Fury Warrior. I like it. I think it's cool.
Okay.
I'm okay with it. You know.
Okay. Cool. And then we have a blank skill. We don't know what that's going to be. And then we have ultimates. Wrath of the Berserker generates 30 fury, 60-second cooldown. Go berserk for 15 seconds. Every 20 fury you spend increases the effect by 65%. And berserking increases your damage by 25% and your movement speed by 30%.
Yeah.
So it's like
Big cooldown pop. It's on a 60-second cooldown, which is okay, and I'm assuming you're going to have cooldown reduction on gear, so maybe even faster.
Right.
So I like short cooldowns. I hate 3-5 minute cooldowns. I think that's too long.
Right.
So 60 seconds is like on the upper limits of what I think cooldown should be in Diablo.
Yeah.
How do you feel about cooldowns?
I'm okay. So Lost Ark is like based around cooldowns, but they've engineered it in such a way that it doesn't, for most of the time, it doesn't feel like you're sitting there waiting.
Yeah. Because none of them are 60 seconds either.
Right. Whereas in Diablo 3, you say you didn't have cooldown reduction. Like you're just going to be kind of like generating your essence pool or whatever you're using and then spending it and then waiting on all the other cooldowns to come back to do something cool. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Yep.
So
I agree. So these big ultimate cooldowns to me, 60 seconds, 75 seconds, 50 seconds.
Yeah.
That's a long time. If they're super powerful, it's okay, I guess, every minute to have a powerful cooldown, every minute, but 75 is too much for me. I would say 30 to 45 seconds should be when you want to use it because you want to use it. Sure. You don't want to just sit on it and save it the whole run.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know when I'm going to get that double pack. I better save it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I know we got to get the timer concept out of our head too. Like a lot of this thought goes into like greater rifts where you have timers and speeds and this and that. And I know the game's not designed that way, but ultimately efficiency will be speed. It always is. And so if you're waiting for cooldowns all the time, that's not cool.
Yeah.
I would hope that they balance these things around 30 seconds. So reduce the effects a little bit, but let us use them more often.
Sure.
Is kind of my thought process. That's how I feel.
Something like that. But honestly, like to me, if I read this ultimate line, we're kind of falling into what seems to be their formula for Diablo going forward, where we're going to have like an ultimate skill. Now, I'd rather see these not count towards your 6 skills. Like if you really want to give people like this big cooldown, like make it kind of like Lost Ark where you build up your ultimate and it's just a separate thing, and then you use it and have things to choose from, which is okay. But yeah, just having like this big cooldown on your bar, it just like doesn't feel good. But to jump on the other ones real quick, so we have Call the Ancients. That's back again as well. 75-second cooldown, like you said. Call upon the Ancients to aid you in battle for blank seconds.
Right.
12 to start, which
it's pretty meh.
That's super meh.
Yeah.
Iron Maelstrom, which is new. 50-second cooldown. Whirl your weapon around on a chain, continually dealing blank damage. Requires 2-hand weapon.
So I think of Kratos when I think about this. Have you played God of War? You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, like that kind of weapon.
Okay. Yeah. So like you're just got your weapon on a chain and you're spinning and just throwing it around. That could be cool. It could be super cool. 50 seconds is a long cooldown, but that's in my acceptable range if it's a super powerful ability. So you got a room full of trash. You've got everything grouped up from using your charges and your, whatever primal axe ability and all this. And you get this big group of trash, and then you boom Iron Maelstrom and you kill everything. Like, okay, I'm with it.
Still,
that could be cool. So
but that is the Barb.
Yeah.
Okay. And then
coolness.
Wiz/Sorceress.
We're gonna go through. I thought we were just doing Barb today.
Barb
doing all of them.
Well, okay. So if we're gonna do Barb today, let's talk about the talents real quick.
We can if you want, but I think all three would take forever.
Fine. Yeah, sure. Let me open that back up. Let's talk about the talents then, since they're still really fresh.
Okay.
This thing won't let me zoom in. I hate this thing. Just gotta let it zone.
Open image in any time.
Come on. There we go. So yeah, again, the meme is talent twigs, right? There's not a lot of choice. So the top left, we have swiftness, increased movement speed by 3% per point. And so there's 5 points. You get 15% movement speed. I kind of fell asleep as I was reading that.
It's all of these. Like, is there?
There's there might be.
Okay.
Then we have endless fury. So fury generation is increased by 10%, and that's with all 5 points. So essentially, you get 2% fury generation per point. That's just a marginal thing. I don't know.
These got to be placeholders, man. These got to be placeholders.
Then we have fierce brawler. Attack speed is increased by 2% while using one-hand weapons, so up to 10%. And then critical strike chances increased by 6% while using two-hand weapons. So you just pick one or the other. It's a little better, I guess. It's kind of like Weapon Master, I guess, from Diablo 3. But ultimately, you'd have, 30% more crit and 10% more attack speed with one hand?
Right.
Okay. Defy pain. When you evade, you gain 4% increased damage reduction for 1 second. And the 1 second is static, so you would get 20% damage reduction for 1 second when you evade. First of all, how do you think about like evade being? It's obviously a thing.
It's super RNG, and
how does that even work? Because we only have attack and defense. Like what?
Yeah. You probably have a base percent. Like let's say you have a 20% base to evade, and that's it. So I don't know. This is an RNG game. It's based on RNG, but I want to reduce RNG as much as you can and make it more skill based and more choice based. It's like I'm all about the choices. Like if I die, it's because I made the wrong choice, not because I didn't have that 20% evade proc.
Right.
Sure. So
yeah,
that's how I feel.
I agree. Like it's annoying, and I've seen like Quinn rage out like when playing his classic WoW and like just gets evaded. Like like it just happens, and like it can make or break like a battle, which is I hate that. Like it's one thing if like that person used a cooldown to like dodge your attack, and then you're like, okay, well he used that, like well played or whatever. But like just straight RNG on whether or not you're gonna win a battle is like I hate that. I hate that so much.
Yep.
Bloodthirst. Okay, now bleed. There's some bleed here. Enemies bleed for up to, it looks like 20% of your critical strike. Oh, God. I didn't read this before. critical strike damage. That's terrible. Like, we really don't want critical strike damage in Diablo.
It's critical strike chance, critical strike damage. They're gonna be there. They're back. I just assumed they were back. I didn't realize that you didn't assume they were back.
I knew crit would be there, but crit damage is honestly like one of the worst things you can do. Fuck. Sorry. I'm just discovering this. Okay. Cool.
It's okay. Take a breath.
Let's move
we'll
on.
Make it.
Quick impulses. While moving, your damage reduction is increased by up to 20% at max stacks. I mean, that's less bad. Like, you can control that, like moving. You get some damage reduction. Okay. Sure. Whirlwind, that could be some synergy.
Yeah. Okay.
Slaying strike damage is increased by, looks like, up to 40% against enemies below 30% life. Does that sound copy pasted or what? Like, that's a barbarian passive. Anyways.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not excited by any of these yet. and this sounds like super negative, and I don't think these are really what it's going to be. I really think that these were placeholders. I pray these were placeholders.
These are placeholders, but I also at the same time, I think, one, is they're placeholders because they want feedback. Like, what do you guys think about this system? Right? And so we're giving it, basically. But two, and it's also kind of say, like, here's what we're thinking so far. So it's like, we're giving our feedback by, talking about this. But at the same time, we are getting insight into what, they're currently thinking. So, take that as you will. So yeah, going on, using a brawling skill, which again, the brawling skill is like a skill type.
Okay.
Like we saw, like on the left side.
Yep.
Using a brawling skill grants berserk for 1 second. And that 1 second is yellow, so that means 5 seconds.
5 seconds, yeah.
So that kind of sounds like, it's almost like the druid, right? Where you shapeshift for blank seconds after you use like a particular skill. Except for now we berserk. Berserk actually grants 25% more damage. So that's, seemingly pretty strong. But it's kind of like a clone mechanic from another class to me.
Yeah. It's going to be so passive, you're not going to think about it, though. Like, you're going to be like, okay, I'm using this because I'm using berserk skills. And then you just don't think about it. So is your damage going to go up? Sure. Is it going to change the way you play the game? Maybe you might select specific skills, but ultimately, no. It's okay. It could be, there could be worse things, but there definitely could be better choices, I feel like.
Yeah.
So I think ultimately the skill tree should be something where you're making a choice like, damn, this looks really good, or damn, that looks really good. I don't know which one I want because they're both badass.
It's like we say,
that's how I want it.
It's like we say with like legendary gems in Diablo 3. Like those should have been like, oh man, like imagine if I'm in a greater rift, I'm like, God, I wish I'd run that other legendary gem in this rift. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's good. Cut to the bone. Stunning an enemy increases bleeding on them for up to 20% for 3 seconds.
Okay. I mean, I see a lot of bleed stuff going on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Bleed build. Momentum, up to 20% chance to gain or generate up to 25% or 25 fury. Sorry. Up to 20% chance to gain 25 fury. Just
per hit.
Yeah,
per hit. Every hit. I mean, that could be ridiculous. That seems like.
But again, we're on that RNG.
Yeah. But yeah, it depends. I mean, maybe if you had a frenzy build.
Yeah. If you hit fast, sure.
Yeah.
Bleeding effects deal 45%. These are the end ones, okay? So these are supposed to be the ones
these
that are
like your
OP.
big boys. Yeah.
Okay, so we have gushing wounds. Bleeding effects deal 45% more damage. Now, going down a skill tree to get a flat damage mod.
Yeah.
That's pretty boring.
Is it wrong of me to think that you should get a skill?
No. Or like somehow it changes your play style or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, give me a button, give me a skill, give me a something.
Yeah. And then unstoppable force, berserking grants unstoppable. Okay. I can tell you right now that's OP.
Yeah. Because
PvP.
You're going to be berserking because of battle frenzy. And you're going to use berserking skills. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's insane for PvP.
You're unstoppable 100% of the time.
Yeah, that's too strong. Like we already know. Okay, and so that's the whole left side of the tree. It's seemingly, what would you say the theme here is? So it's like Fury generation bleed. Some stun
Ish.
stuff. It doesn't really pick.
Hodgepodge.
It doesn't really pick.
I don't think there is. It
Yeah.
just feels like it's like, okay, do you want gushing wounds or unstoppable force? You have to go left tree. Do you want, well, we'll talk about the other one. So let's just say I picked right tree.
Yeah. Right tree. So, Talon 1. While out of combat, gain 20 life per second.
Blech.
Life regen is honestly really boring. Yeah, it really is.
That's like one of the worst. That's probably the worst talent on the whole board, in my opinion.
I would much rather have life per hit, life steal, anything. Like life regen, like just standing there and getting more health is...
Out of combat, too. Out of combat. So you can't even be fighting. So, yeah, that's bad.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even read that part. Out of combat.
Yeah, it's super bad.
Sick. Yeah, that is really boring. Oh, my gosh.
So any game that has a life regen system built into it when you're out of combat promotes a system where you're going to kill enemies, and then when you're hurt, you're going to stand there and wait for your health to come back. And that shit is so boring and horrible. Right. So please, no. Yeah. That's, worst talent.
Right. Martial Vigor. Damage reduction is increased by, looks like, what would that be? 4% per stack, so 20% total?
20%, yeah.
That's just a flat damage reduction?
Okay.
I mean, that's strong.
Yeah.
Next is Booming Voice. Shout durations are increased by, looks like up to 50% at max.
Okay.
That's good. I mean, that's strong if you're using some of those. Some of those shouts are really good, so...
Yeah,
especially get cooldown reduction plus shout duration. I mean,
all of these choices are just so non-inspirational. They're not like choices. They're just like, okay,
here's the thing.
Here, so like I said, I really feel like none of this is going to be.
Of course, we're just giving our feedback.
I know.
Okay. Concussion 0-5. Enemies struck by your brawling skills are slowed. Looks like up to 50% for 5 seconds.
Okay, PvP. That's okay-ish.
Sure, PvP. That's all I think.
PvP. Yeah, that's all I'm thinking. PvP.
Thick skin, non-physical damage reduction is increased by, looks like up to 25%.
Caster damage reduction when you're getting kited.
Okay. Yeah, and that's a passive from D3 as well. Yeah. Guttural Yell. Your shouts cause enemies to deal, looks like up to 50% less damage for 5 seconds. 5 seconds being static.
Yeah. This screams support to me, this whole tree.
That's not wrong. Master of Arms. After using your weapon mastery skill, your next Fury skill is free and deals up to 25% increased damage. Okay. Weapon mastery skill, next free. Okay.
So your weapon mastery skill, is that one of the bottom tree things? What is the weapon mastery skill again?
Pull up again.
I don't really remember.
Yeah.
Let me see. I think I have it up to defensive. I think it might be the bottom.
No, yeah, those are just the cooldowns. Yeah.
Oh, no. The weapon mastery skill is either the primal axe where you chain and pull them to you, or you rupture,
or death blow,
or death blow.
Right. The only cooldown. They don't generate fury. They don't cost fury.
They don't cost fury.
They're just
so basically using one of your shorter. They're on shorter cooldowns.
Yeah, true. And Rupture you can reset itself. Same with Death Blow.
Yeah, so you can weapon mastery, get a free Hammer of the Ancients or something. Like, I don't know.
Okay, I guess it's not bad. It has some good synergy with Rupture and Death Blow.
Yeah. It's something.
Yeah. Okay. Slam. Hit effect up to basically 15% chance to knock down enemies. Kind of already talked about that. On hit effect. And such a low effect, it feels not impactful.
Right. Yep.
Close quarters combatant, you deal, looks like up to 50% increased damage to enemies within melee range, but take 5% increased damage from enemies outside melee range.
Oh, I put a negative on a talent? Don't get it.
I mean, that's good. I do kind of like Kiss of Death. I mean, I would rather see Kiss of Death on items rather than a tree, but I think, I don't mind that. I don't mind negative effects.
It's not, but it's only on one thing. That's like the
it's only one mod.
Yeah.
True.
So you're just never gonna pick. Well, me might pick it. I don't know.
Right. Combat prowess damage increased by 10% against immobilized, stunned, or slowed enemies. God damn it, it's Crispin sentence. Please no. And if there's combat prowess, as that goes through, guys, please don't have juggernauts.
You have to pick it every time, by the way.
Yeah.
So.
Then we have our two big ones. Okay, we have walking arsenal. Using different weapons increases your damage by 8% for 8 seconds, up to 32%. So you'd have to run 4 one-handers, and they'd all have to be different.
Yeah, and you'd have to cycle skills that use them all.
Yeah.
So, okay, though, it's going to force you to think about builds and stuff. Yeah, okay. I'm all right with that, maybe.
And then Unbridled Rage. Fury skills deal 130% increased damage, but cost 100% more. So you're left-clicking even more, baby.
I mean, it doesn't look like it's even on the same level as Unstoppable Force, which was Berserking grants Unstoppable Force and 15% damage. I mean, 130% increased damage is a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage to add on. But, yeah, I don't know. Gushing with the right tree seems much more support. The left tree seems much more bleed oriented, or berserk oriented. So definitely seems like there's going to be some support Barb builds going out there, though, man.
Yeah, you're right.
With this,
and it seems a contradictory thing because they did in that Q&A panel, and it did seem like support classes is not something that they wanted in D4.
Yeah, and I feel like they're going to make one.
Yeah,
if they don't
change
these,
I'm sure they will.
Yeah,
caveat again, right?
Yeah, I don't think any of this. This is kind of just like, let's throw some stuff together, and we're gonna eventually come in and retool all of these things. So, that's something else with only 5 classes at the start. That's less balanced than the 7.
Yeah, true.
So
true.
It'll hopefully be good.
Yeah.
So cool. That's the Barb. A look into the Barb and the skills. I know some of you maybe haven't seen all the skills and things that they have, but
a little deep dive. Just the Barb.
Just a little bit of Barb.
What else you want to talk about?
Let's talk about ExileCon a little bit.
Okay. What do you want to know?
Switch gears.
I know everything. No, I don't know anything.
We're switching gears.
Yeah.
So BlizzCon obviously was last week.
Yep.
2 weeks ago now. ExileCon's coming up, and when is it actually? When is the date that it starts?
It's Saturday, Sunday. BlizzCon
Saturday,
Sunday.
The 23rd, 24th.
No, this weekend. So it's this.
Oh, it's
this 16th,
16, 17.
Yeah.
So you're getting on a plane tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow evening.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think?
People are asking
Let's get some predictions.
Let me ask you this.
Some predictions.
Okay, before we get into what I think. Is there anything that ExileCon could do to make you, well, we'll just say hyped first, and then we'll be like, oh, pog. Is there anything that they could do to make you hyped, and then is there anything they can do to make you pog?
A new engine. Graphical overhaul is hype. Okay.
That's just hype? Okay.
Graphical overhaul is hype.
Wait,
new engine altogether.
Oh,
where it's
like graphical.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's Pog.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
it's
if
all
they can make it
for you.
No. Well, no. Not I'm just answering. Like if they show it off and it looks like better than D4, let's just say graphically it's equal or better than D4.
That's insane.
I'm gonna be like, oh shit. Like I'm pogging, right? I'm like, okay.
Sure.
All right, I'm down. I hear you.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. It's Path of Exile's in such a weird spot because I feel like it's so deep in the depth, is so crazy, and the systems are so detailed that I think the new beginner learning curve is insanely off-putting to new players.
Of course.
And so if they could ease that, I think that would be awesome. But I don't think that would appease what they market to. They market to those kind of guys.
Exactly.
And if they start marketing and changing the direction of the game to go to an easy entry or understandable entry, then it's not what Path of Exile is.
Sure.
And then I'm nervous, about that. So that's really weird to me. But graphical engine's a starting spot, and then I don't know, man. I don't know how they could capture. And I want to be able to show the game to people and have them be like, "Oh, that looks really cool. It doesn't look super overwhelming. I want to try that." And I think that's the problem. Now, if I show somebody Path of Exile, even myself, like I don't know it at all, really. But if I talk to new people, they're like, "Yeah, fuck that." They see that skill tree and they're like, "Nope, I'm done."
Sure.
You know.
I get it. I get it, man.
What about you?
You know, I really here's the thing. So a lot of people are like, "How can they have a whole con over one thing?" Well, first of all, you know, if they had a Diablo con, that'd be the best thing ever.
Yeah, just go to Diablo con.
It just so happens that, you know, maybe the past couple of years hasn't been a whole lot in the Diablo realm to have a whole con over. But so the important thing to know with this Exile con is it's not just the 4.0 mega expansion. It's also the 3.9 like significant expansion, right? So every, I guess 3 like expansions, which is what they call them, like every season for Diablo is an expansion, and it's called a league too, but it's also an expansion because it is. I mean, it is every single time. It's basically an expansion. Like the amount of content is insane.
Right.
So yeah, this is their bigger one of like the quarterly or whatever you want to call it of those. Plus, we get to find out what this 4.0 thing is, and then from the schedule, we know we actually get to see both. Like the streamers are playing 3.9 and the streamers are playing 4.0.
Are you gonna let you stream it?
Me, no. Well, like, I mean, sure.
Who's your rep? Wait, hold on. Let me send some emails for you.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, because whatever I send, you know, is not working.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, so I assume that we're gonna be able to demo both, which has me really excited, and I think that this will be a much more personal experience. Like the population will be like, I assume like somewhere around like probably just like 2K or something like that versus like what is it? BlizzCon's like 25K or something like that.
It was like 40K.
Is it really? Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, just super like not as crowded as BlizzCon, and maybe a much more personal experience where you can actually have like those conversations. Probably a lot easier.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So there's that to look forward to, and I would assume that like they'd have a lot of demo stations set up, so like maybe there wouldn't be such like a crazy line, et cetera, et cetera. So. But again, if you ask me like what to expect, you know, I kind of have 2 different theories. So one is PoE could honestly just continue down the path that it's doing and just releasing great content, league after league after league. And then what could happen, and this isn't to be toxic, what could happen is Diablo 4 comes out and it dissatisfies people. It's not what people wanted. And then PoE that's been doing their thing, you know, they just get all those players still. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they can just probably continue down their current path and still be really successful at the end of the day. And to kind of reinforce what you said.
I don't think they're going to, but they can.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's that. I do agree with you in the sense that, you know, if a lot of people, at least a lot of people in our communities, right, Diablo players have been like, well, what would you like out of PoE or ExileCon? And a lot of them said like, well, we want like just make it simpler, like make it, you know, like just easier for noobs to get into. And again, I agree in the sense that, well, then they're kind of shying away from the audience that they've built. Like they built like this audience of hardcore, like elite gamers that like love really in-depth systems and really like challenging things. So I'm actually, I don't know. I feel, you know, going into BlizzCon, I knew what could happen, but even if you ask me like the day of, right, that morning, like, you know, you were all smiles, but like I really still didn't know what to expect because Blizzard can always throw that curveball at you that's like, what are you guys thinking, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas yeah,
I think so. I really feel like Diablo 4 is going to be targeted at the casual audience. I really feel that way. And I know that's not what people want to hear, but a lot of people don't want that 5-head fucking style of play.
yeah.
A lot of people think they want it, and if they do, then you're a Path of Exile player.
But
you know what I mean?
But that's assuming it's like one or the other too. I think that they agree.
I think they're gonna find a middle ground. I think Diablo 4 is gonna find a middle ground ish that's gonna stray towards the casual side.
Because to me,
that's just a feeling. I'm not saying that's what I want. That's just my feeling.
No, I agree. That's what I would want. And I think that that's the best solution. But, you know, we made this chart the other day, right? So you've got PoE over here, and you got Diablo 3 over here, and then like the middle would be the best, right? I think that's the best solution. But the problem is, to me, Diablo 3 actually went, or Diablo 4 went the other way. It actually went even more noob than Diablo 3, in my opinion.
That's what it feels like from the demo. Yeah. Right. But again, I hope that's just, here's a demo.
Yes.
You know, check it out.
Absolutely.
But that's how I left. When I left BlizzCon and I sat back and I thought about the skills and I thought about the talent trees, and at the stage where the game is at, I'm like, I feel like the game is going to be catered to casuals. And that's, if you look at the history of World of Warcraft, it went from like, you know, this uncasual, friendly, like super grind fest to a casual, you can log in and play and do your shit in a couple days and you're done for the week, you know? And I think I just feel like that's more of the mentality that Blizzard takes versus this hardcore, like super crazy in-depth systems, you know? So.
Yeah. And so to back up, you know, the what I want out of 3.9, I would like to see them, you know, like finally get rid of bestiary, maybe add the cool things from bestiary onto the new league mechanic. I'd like to see them get rid of the temple. I think the temple is awful. It's a static thing. You know what to expect every time. It's actually my least favorite. I think even over bestiary. And I want to see those replaced with Legion. I want to see that replaced with Blight. I actually really like Blight. It's the tower defense thing. I think it's really good. So that's what I want at 3.9. Obviously new skills like they give us every time and stuff like that. But 4.0, I'm with you. I think really the only way I could pog out at ExileCon is if like we see a pretty significant graphical update. A new engine would be fantastic. Honestly, that would be amazing to me in and of itself. If they took PoE, what they already have, and they put it in an engine that looks like, you know, Lost Ark or Diablo 4, like, I honestly, if that happened, like, you know, if I'm being honest, like, goodbye Diablo 3. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, you know, that's it. You know,
man. And here's the funny thing: is Lost Ark. I mean, PoE doesn't look that bad today. Like they've made a lot of improvements over the years. But something about it still doesn't look right. Like I don't know what it is, the way the character runs, like it looks like he's got a broom handle stuck up his ass. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, if they can graphically update it and make it look just top tier, brand new. Next gen, it's gonna blow some doors off. I think that would be enough enticement to me to probably be like, okay, I'm gonna invest some serious time to learn these systems, and figure out the game, and then I think it you know just opens up after that. But yeah, that's exciting, man. I can't wait to you know I'll be on your Twitter. Be checking out all
follow
the
us on Twitter, guys. ThaPChild will just retweet everything I say.
Yeah, just retweet all fluff stuff. What time? I don't know the time difference. I know when we had Quinn on, it was like crazy. It was like plus.
I leave tomorrow at 4 o'clock p.m. and I land. So it's Wednesday. Tomorrow for us is Wednesday, and I land Friday at 9 a.m.
Okay.
So I'm like going 2 days into the future.
Nice, man. So when you come back, you actually get extra time off.
Yeah, it'll be like literally.
I'm not late, boss.
Longest day. We come back. I leave on Sunday, and I get back on Sunday earlier in the day.
That's crazy.
So
that is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's funny.
It should be really, really cool.
Anyway, yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm genuinely super excited to see what ExileCon has because it's got to be good for us. Like. Even if you're not a PoE player, competition's amazing, and it's gonna force Blizzard to step their game up.
Hell yeah!
So
dude.
I'm down. And if they kill it, then you got a good game to play. So there's no thing.
True.
Speaking of good games to play, dude, I started playing Lost Ark.
I've been telling you this whole time.
Unfucking believable how good that game is. Unbelievable.
Combat.
Like it's combat. Yeah. I honestly I like a lot of the things in the game too.
Do you enjoy the questing, like leveling up? Are you?
It's okay. Yeah, I enjoy the process because combat's so good. Yeah. So first off, I guess let me, I'll give you my experience with Lost Ark, and then you can chime in and tell me how you agree or disagree.
Okay.
Best combat in any ARPG I've ever played. I feel that way 100%. It felt better than Diablo 4. It felt better than Diablo 3. It feels better than PoE. Any ARPG I've ever played, it destroys it to me. And it's definitely got a different style of play. And so the thing to me is I would really like to get a broad audience of Diablo 3 community that we have to see, like, do you like this style of combat? I personally love it. And a quick overview, like the way it works, it's all kind of cooldown based. You have 8 abilities on your bar, plus some combat abilities too, even, I think. But you get 8 abilities to choose from, and they all have cooldowns. It's all mainly cooldown based. There are some mana cost or rage cost associated with them, at least for the berserker that I'm playing.
Sure.
And so, like, let's say I have an ability that swipes and knocks them up in the air and then slams them on the ground and stuns them. So, okay, so all the mobs have now been damaged and they're stunned on the ground for XYZ seconds. Then my hard-hitting ability usually has a wind-up associated with it. So when I hit this ability, it locks me into that animation that could take 1 second to 2 seconds to cast. So during those 2 seconds, I'm super vulnerable. I can't dodge incoming missiles. I can't get out of the way of damage. But if you set it up by knocking enemies down, when you hit that hit and it crits the shit out of them and you just watch an entire pack of mobs blow up, it feels so good. It feels so rewarding. I'm like, oh my God,
yeah, man.
dude. It's phenomenal. Yeah. It's absolutely, their combat is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
The dungeons in the game.
Like, just
so
real quick.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So D4, you know, one of the things I said in the opening ceremony is like, we're going to continue that Diablo 3 best in class combat. And I was just like,
yeah.
Let me raise my hand for a second, because that's not true anymore.
I think you could probably argue that you don't like it. It's definitely a style of combat that maybe not everybody would like. So I could see somebody having a different opinion than me. But I agree. I'm like, well, maybe like second, because Lost Arks feels phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's super rewarding. And so you have 8 abilities and they all have a cooldown. And as you're rotating your damage cycle, you kind of learn like what abilities to use where. But rarely are you out of abilities with something to do. I mean, maybe on a boss, you can use all 8 of them and have like a couple seconds of like, okay, let me just normal swing on this guy for a second. But usually there's always something to do, and it feels really good. So speaking of that, like dungeons look phenomenal. You're out in so it actually shares some aspects that Diablo 4 is going to have. You're in a open shared world, and as you're in this world, other players are going to run by you and quest with you and whatever. But it also has a dungeon system, which is exactly like how Diablo 4 is going to do it. It like you go to an instance, and it's going to be your own instance dungeon. So that aspect of it feels the exact same like Diablo 4. There's a shared world. There's a portal, takes you to a dungeon. That's your dungeon.
Right.
Lost Ark match makes everything, so you can match make all the dungeons, you can match make all the raids, etc. It's obviously better if you have a team of people to run with, but if not, you'll find you homies to play with.
Is new since I played it, so I'm excited to try that.
Yeah, and then the dungeons were varying from length to difficulty to environments to mobs. Like everything about each dungeon was slightly different than the other ones I played, and they were phenomenal. It came into a dungeon. It felt more like a dungeon in an MMO, like World of Warcraft, than it did like a Rift for Diablo, because it wasn't randomized. They're static. So that's kind of a little replayability downside that may not be there, you know. But they have mechanics like, let's go swing on this rope Indiana Jones style down to the next level. Sure. Let's get in a mine cart and ride it to the next level. We're going to run from this boss. Like, we're literally fighting this huge ass monster as we're running up a spiral, you know, landscape.
Sure.
And it was just badass, man.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it. It was cool. There's not much about the game I don't like, except for the fact that like the story, since it's in a different language and like the translations aren't great, and like I really don't give a shit about the story. I just skip it all now. So, I mean, maybe if it came over to NA and had proper translations and voice acting, maybe I'd listen to it. Probably not, you know.
Man. To talk like so, one of the things you touch on, and I think it says a lot, is so like when you level up in Lost Ark, and I don't love it, because it's a lot like World of Warcraft, where you're just like, well, you're basically just want to like go do the objective and then go turn in the quest, and like that's it. Like move on, be efficient, right? Be efficient.
Yeah.
But combat is so good that you want to kill everything that you see and everything you run into, and so you end up like, it's basically a waste of time, because you don't really get that much XP from mobs, but you just want to do it, and so like you just can't help yourself.
Like I'm running, right? And then these mobs will start attacking. Like, so first off, the AI is pretty stupid on a whole. Like, it's extremely passive AI, except for bosses. Boss mechanics are top tier. Boss fights are top tier. Like, boss fights.
To that end, that's kind of the point. So
It's designed that way, yes, 100%.
Right.
But it's different if you're used to coming from Diablo, where trash actively, aggressively goes at you. And in Lost Ark, they kind of stand around a lot. Like, some AI is smarter and goes at you, but for the most part, most things are like, oh, I'm just going to chill here, you know. But as you get to a boss, the boss fights are epic, man. Like, you'll get to a boss, and it could be a 10-minute fight at a boss. The dungeon system is super punishing as well, because if you're doing it on hard mode and you die, you have two options. Option one is to res at your corpse, which costs a resource that is extremely rare and hard to get, or at least rare for me so far in the game.
Yep.
So you're either burning a resource you don't want to burn, or you're leaving the dungeon and you're done. It's like, get the fuck out. Right. No more gameplay, you know?
Sure.
So
in the end game, just real quick, you do a dungeon, right? It's called your chaos dungeon. It's like the daily dungeon. You die in that, you're out.
Yeah.
You're just kicked out.
You're out. And so it makes it makes the run so much more heightened. Like, every dungeon, like when you're out in the open world, you're killing stuff, you're chilling, you're relaxed, you don't really care, right? You're having a good time. But when you go in the dungeon, you're fucking trying. Like, you're like, okay, I'm paying attention to mechanics. I'm not going to get hit by anything. I'm going to try to stay alive. And that little bit of like extra incentive, like don't die, really makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
So it does. It's cool. I can continue to go on. I have a bunch of notes here about things I like in the game. I'm going to skip over them, I guess, because I've been talking about it longer than I meant to. But Lost Ark is great, man. Like, I absolutely love it. And if it came out at NA, I think it would slay. I think it would be super popular.
I'm excited to see how your opinion maybe shifts in the weeks to come. Once you get to endgame.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be. I could definitely see the end game being very MMO-ish feeling, and you're only getting to log in to do your activities, and then you log out, maybe. You know? So
maybe I'm not going to spoil anything for you.
We'll see. But yeah, the leveling process feels good, and I like it, and I'm having a great time, and I'm actively wanting to play it, like, all the time. Like, when I'm not playing it, I'm thinking about, man, I wish I was playing Lost Ark. So that's really cool.
Sure.
So,
hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. So I suggest you guys try it out. It's not very hard to test. That's all I'll say. You can YouTube it. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
One last thing we have on the schedule here. Our weekly session of Fluff Hates.
It's maybe a strong word for this week.
This episode of Fluff Hates is brought to you by
Internet elitists.
Internet elitists.
Okay. So
you know who you are.
Okay, so again, to tell the story, we're at BlizzCon. The D3 developers say, hey, the changes are on that PlayStation 4 over there. We spend like 10 minutes trying to figure it out, and then we tweet out some photos. And just by complete and total RNG, I get the limitation nerf to tweet out, right? Mm-hmm. So to date, I am actually still getting spammed on YouTube. I'm still getting spammed in my email. I'm still getting spammed on Reddit. I'm still getting spammed on Twitter. I'm still getting spammed on the forums with hate. Because people think, one, I somehow did this. Like, I said I wanted it nerfed. Because I think in the podcast, someone brought this up. Like, when podcast is like, yeah, I said it. Oh, it seems a little strong. Like, maybe it should get a nerf.
I mean, that's your fault, 100%.
Sure. Yeah, 100%. You know? And then I tweeted out with it, I said, small nerf. Like, Whirlwind Caesar small nerf. And that's been blown out of context, and people have completely tunnel visioned on that statement alone. What I meant when I said that is, it's a small nerf for the overall pretty large buff that Whirlwind received on PTR.
Yep.
And again, I still believe, even after the nerf, the top 1% of Barb players are going to actually slay with these changes. And I understand that sucks, right? For the 99% of actual Barb players, like, Whirlwind is not going to feel very strong. But at the end of the day, that top 1% of the people that are going to push with this thing are going to slay, in my opinion. Now, okay, so that spawned this whole forum thread where someone, basically the whole forum thread started as someone calling me a clown, which is against the TOS of the forums. But the thread wasn't taken down. It's still up, actually. And then, multiple threads after that being like, this guy doesn't know anything about Diablo, blah, blah, blah. And so I actually went out of my day, out of my way to like try to explain like where I was coming from and why I think it's a small nerf, what I just explained to you guys. And it turned into more hate, and it turned into more people. And that guy who posted the Barb thing that we talked about weeks and weeks ago of how like this big community update, I didn't realize it was him until like just a couple of days ago. But he's like the guy. So he's like basically saying like, we're not being elitists, right? We just know more about Barb than you, which is like, that's super hypocritical in and of itself. But it just keeps going. And then he like basically brought up all these past forum threads of like when I first started posting like back in 2016 to the Barb forums. And he's like, here's what we mean. And like, we were never elitist towards you, but if you go look at all of those posts, every single one of those posts, it's exactly what they're doing. And it honestly, it like just reminded me so much of like starting out as a content creator. Like I almost didn't do it because of the Barb forums. Like, because I would post guides and someone was like, oh, you stole this build, or oh, like, whatever. It's just toxic. It was straight toxicity.
Right.
And it almost stopped me from like making guides. And if I had not made guides, like maybe we wouldn't have all the necro content that we do or whatever. And that's just sad. It was pointed out in the forums that, I've had a ton of people reach out to me and say like, hashtag me too, basically. Like the Barb forums are a really toxic place. I totally like agree. Like it sucks. And their rationale, like a lot of these guys, is like, that's your rite of passage on the Barb forums, which is such a terrible thing to say.
Your rite of passage is letting somebody shit on you.
Yes. And so like these guys, and I love that they're so passionate. I really do. At the end of the day, I love the passion. But you have to understand that you're killing your own game. The game that you're so passionate about and like is very contingent and built upon like keeping a large population of people. Like you're dwindling down the population by being incredibly toxic. Imagine if you and I, right? You and me,
right.
If new players came to our stream and it said, hey, what's a ret run? Or hey, what are you doing right now? I said, fuck off, you noob. Like, how terrible would that be for the game?
Right.
So at the end of the day, what happened now is, so like I tried to explain it the best, I was like super cordial, and I tried to explain it and I just couldn't. And so what ended up happening is I like vented a little bit. We had a bit of a laugh at some of the replies on stream. And I think I said, like, fucking moron or something like, this guy's a moron, this guy's an idiot, whatever. And so now there's a call to action on the Barb forums from like the same people who shit on me, that there needs to be a call to action to get me like banned from Twitch because like I'm actively shitting on people, like, and pointing people out, which is just like, I didn't even know what to say anymore. So like, honestly, at the end of the day, you're totally right at the start of the stream when you're like, you should have just not fucking said like a goddamn word. You're totally right.
Yeah. So
it's just not in my DNA.
That's the same. It's the same shit that happens to probably everybody. But I mean, I've been down this road too. You make a guide, you're streaming, you're doing whatever, and the elitists, who I use it in quotes because sometimes they're fucking wrong. You know what I mean?
Sure.
They'll come in and like, oh, this isn't how you play. Let me backseat game you, or you stole that build, or whatever. And like, I had somebody try to say that I stole a build, and I'm like, my build isn't the same as the one you're linking. And second off, here's the fucking VOD of me doing it with chat on fucking stream live. You know what I mean? Testing and stuff. And so it just became a point where I at first I used to defend. At first, it used to discourage me a little bit, you know. And then I got over that pretty quick. I'm like, fuck those guys.
Sure.
But then it does get to the point where you defend yourself at first too, and now I just completely ignore it. I'm just like, block. I ghost everybody on YouTube. It's so funny. I've ghost blocked so many people, man. They don't even know. They just keep posting on my shit, and nobody can see it. It's amazing.
Right. And what's the craziest part? One of the craziest things to me about all of this is that like every single person, even the guys that were like flaming me, is like, oh, this guy has really good necro content. When it comes to necro, he really knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But they're like, when it comes to Barb, he's a total noob. Like, like, how can you like even like maybe just maybe like I've always known what I was talking about. Like even when I was a Barb main, like you just only saw it from like your very narrow point of view.
Right, your rose-colored
like,
glasses over there, dude.
Like maybe I've always been like pretty good at theory crafting. You guys are just like maybe not super welcoming and a little like it's just crazy. And they don't even see it. Like they posted all the old forum threads and I'm so nice. Like it's crazy how nice I am like back in 2016, 2017. Like I would never do that anymore. But like bringing those up is like, and they, to their point, it's like, well, no, you're wrong. We're not being elitist. But like every single one of those posts, it's like they're totally being elitist, and it's just crazy.
Yeah.
It sucks. They're killing their own game and they don't even know it.
Yeah, Diablo 3 community has kind of churned that way. I feel like Twitch, my channel on Twitch has a lot of cool people that come in, but Reddit is super aggressive. And YouTube comments are super aggressive.
Yep.
Like YouTube comments, they act like I work for Blizzard, which blows my mind.
Chill.
Like, yeah, they honestly feel like it's like I'm a Blizzard employee. I'm like, dude, I don't work for them at all. So, it's not my fault that you're not happy with whatever you're mad about, And then Reddit is just like, unless you post like Goblin Pack for the first time, check it out. Like it's it's just like,
Sure.
how dare you? How
That's
dare
weird.
you? You're not. It's like Reddit is like, you're not Riker. Why are you posting on here?
Sure.
It's kind of like the thing I get, which is funny because I've literally gotten that comment and I've gotten those DMs from people like, Riker already makes D3 content. Go fuck yourself.
What's weird to me is like the necro forums are totally opposite. Like necro forums are like everyone's trying to help each other out. Every single time I post the necro forums, would be like, okay, cool, another fluff guide. Like it's just so night and day. I just don't understand like what happened. What happened over there, Barb? And honestly, to me, it seems like that these guys, one of the guys has like 6,000 posts on the forums, and it seems like there's like this very big clique of Barb players that they honestly they just upvote each other's stuff all the time, and then if someone disagrees with them, obviously they shit on them and they're kind of elitist, but they also like flag posts that they don't agree with, which is just crazy. So like I honestly think that the Barb forums probably need to be looked at by like community managers and stuff like that, because I think there might be some like pretty like terrible shit that like people don't even know happens.
That seems to be a thing going on a lot now. Like where people are like randomly, communities will go like start flagging streamers or start flagging people to get them in trouble. Because it's just mass. It's just like mass flagging.
It's crazy.
Triggers the systems to be like, oh, something's wrong. Let's
crazy.
Let's do it.
Yeah. At the end of the day, just open your mind, team, and don't shit on people that are like trying to play your game. Like there should be no quote rite of passage. Like it's just, that's a terrible mindset. And I want Barb to be good just as much as everybody else. It was my main before Necro. I didn't have anything to do with these nerfs.
Yeah, it's funny, man. It just reminds me of all the shit messages that I get. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, oh, how fucking dare you make a challenge rift guide?
Right.
XYZ already does this.
True.
Go, whatever. So.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's Fluff Hates Internet Elitism segments.
True.
We got questions, man. Did I close them? Close them.
Classic.
All right, here we go. Yep. Episode 76 is brought to you by Fluff Hates Internet Elitism. If you guys want to submit questions to the podcast for this section, you can tweet us at Lord__Fluffy or at ThaPChild. You can join our Discords. Links are in the YouTube video if you're watching live. Somebody will throw them in chat for us real quick. Join those and you can submit your questions. The first one comes from Big Unit 20. He says, have you two watched Mr. Llama's feedback videos on resources, itemization, etc.? If so, what are your thoughts? I personally haven't watched his videos, but I had like an hour-long conversation with him at BlizzCon. So
nice.
I do have some insight to some of the things he was talking about. How about you? Have you seen them?
I watched, the itemization. It seems, across the board that, every streamer has almost the same thing to say about itemization.
Mm-hmm.
Like no one's happy with it. Whether we all agree on trade and all that stuff, no. But it seems like as a whole, everyone kind of agrees on itemization. And the thing that I think is super fascinating about Mr. Llama's particular itemization video is, so Mr. Llama is still playing D2. Still. Which is actually crazy. Like, I can't imagine playing Diablo 3 for another 10 years. I just can't.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that that's what's fascinating, because I don't know if I've ever heard from any Diablo 3 streamer, as much as other people might think. I've never heard a Diablo 3 streamer say, I want Diablo 4 to be like Diablo 3. I've never heard that.
Right.
And when Mr. Llama talks about itemization and what makes itemization really cool in Diablo 2, and he's still like really obviously very, very passionate about it. And at the end of the day, he would like, if it's a choice, like, do we have that current itemization D4 or can we have D2? He would still choose D2. And I think that says a lot, because I would never want Diablo 3 itemization again. But if he still, after like 20, 30 years of playing this game, still can endorse, like, I would like this kind of itemization, I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah. And I some of the things that I've picked out from him over the course of the conversations that we had was, he talked about how you could still get a yellow item or a blue item that could potentially be top tier in one of your builds. And so there's nothing that's ruled out. It's nothing like, oh, you're only hunting for legendaries in every slot. Or let's just say they go back to the ancient or the primal system, like, God forbid, it could happen. So, but yeah, so my thoughts on the itemization, so the conversations we had, I think he was really on point with a lot of his stuff, and I agree with a lot of what he was saying. He even had some really good conversations about trading and why trading should be open to every item. And I wasn't on board with that at first. His arguments are good. And so has he made a video? I don't know if he's made a video on that yet. Probably has.
On trade? Probably.
If he hasn't, I would check for it. If he has made one, it'd be interesting for you guys that are listening, like, watch that and then see if it changes your thoughts on trade, because his arguments are pretty valid and pretty strong. I don't know if he 100% convinced me, but I'm definitely like, okay, I'm with you. I understand where you're coming from, and I would not be upset if it happened, if it happens the way that you're describing. So definitely got some good stuff. Johnny Wolf says, do you think that the guys that shoot you from off screen on D4 will be better received if their attacks debuffed your character or slow stun you rather than doing damage? Talking about those big, like,
that's good. I mean, that's better.
Things.
That's better. That's 100% better. So, like, what you said, you were the one that said that you get like a warning shot or something?
Yeah. So I was actually at a table talking with one of the devs, and this specific conversation got brought up about, I think Quinn was actually like, that's stupid as fuck or something. Like, Quinn was straight Quinn and was like, that's stupid as fuck. It's like straight to the dev. But it was a joke, And the dev is like, well, it's not actually going to hit you the first time. You're going to see a warning shot, or the first shot will never connect, so it's there. They said that they want you to be able to make a choice. You have to choose: do I keep the engagement I have already, or do I go drop what I'm doing to kill the arrow off screen? I personally think it's garbage. I hate it. Like, I don't like it at all. Something that can shoot you off screen feels bad to me.
I think it's a better idea if it was like a debuff. I'm okay with that. But yeah, just straight damn. And
I mean, still, let's say it just strike, like, it moves you to 50% movement speed.
Yeah,
it can still get you killed.
Sure,
because you don't know it's there. Like, you're like, all of a sudden, boom, you're hit with a 50% debuff, and you're like, what? And then now you're hitting a frozen orb, and boom, then you're dead. You know what I mean?
But you would have hopefully something that would, like,
a warning shot counter. That would go off the first time. Yeah,
like something in your build. Like, so say you're the Barb, you get that indomitable shout or whatever it's called. That you can break out of that snare.
Yeah.
Anyways, But again, if it's between straight damn and fucking a debuff,
it's better.
The debuff.
Yeah, it's definitely better. I just vote remove it.
Yeah, I don't like off screen. I don't think it really makes sense. No game has ever worked, so I don't see what makes Diablo 4 special.
Right. Maester Major says, how much in-game content is needed if they promise D5 in 3 years, not 10? Can they get away with just Rift and daily systems with seasonal themes and changes? I'm assuming we're saying that if D4 launches, If they give us D5 in 3 years, what do we need?
No, it's I think that so it's almost like saying, okay, we're going to be more transparent. So like D4 comes out and they're like, we're going to be transparent with you guys. Like our new plan for Diablo going forward is like a new game every 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Does that change how much end game is needed in D4?
I mean, it changes it, but we still want a lot. I mean, 3 years of playing the same game is a long time. Like, we still need systems. Like, just because they're going to give us a new one soon doesn't mean I want the one I have to be shallow. Mm-hmm. You know, I think the complexity and the depth are what keep you playing. You know, the chase, the carrot on the stick. You know, so we still need carrots.
Yeah. I would say that you're going to at least need like a few end game options out, and not including PvP.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think PvP is so huge for this game. Yeah. If it's done well, it's like infinite content forever. You can always jump in PvP. If PvP is garbage and we never play it, then how much dev time did they waste on it? If PvP fails in D4, I think it would be likely to say it'll never come back in Diablo IP again, because they tried in D3 and couldn't get it right. Mm-hmm. They're building D4 from the ground up with PvP in mind. So if they have 2 strikes in a row, like, that's so much dev effort wasted and so much system design balanced around PvP. So it's got to be good. I hope it's good.
Yeah.
Hex says, do you think D4 will have an auto pickup system for mats? Do you want an auto pickup system? No. You're going to have to click and loot stuff off the ground.
So you play Lost Ark. Do you kind of prefer like to spam a button versus like click all the loot that drops?
So Lost Ark's control scheme is definitely different off the bat. You got to get used to it. Once I played it for 20 hours or so, I pretty used to it. I bound a key on my mouse to spam what is their G key, which is like G key in Lost Ark is like pick up and interact and do all those things.
Yeah.
So I have a button on my mouse that literally just spams the G key, and I use that all the time, and it works really well. Like, I actually feel like Lost Ark's control scheme is better than Diablo 3's once I got used to it.
Sure.
But you had to get used to it.
Yeah.
Having force move on left click and not having that be your attack button is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Once you get used to it. So,
yeah.
Auto pickup systems, no, I think it's bad. I think it just makes the game lazier. You don't have to do things.
I agree.
I think picking up loot is part of a time dump, and you need a time dump in the game. Otherwise, you're flying through stuff so fast. Yep. And I will say that there is no loot vomit in Lost Ark, which is amazing. Inventory management so far for me, I'm level 33 or something. Inventory management, and max is 50, but inventory management to this point has been minimal because they're not dumping endless shit loot on you. When a sword drops, it's really easy. Is it an upgrade or not? Yes or no? And
so you want attack defense? Green arrow, red arrow.
Yeah.
What?
Exactly.
No.
No. No. I'm assuming at endgame there are going to be more meaningful choices. I hope, but right now, like the loot's so rare. Like, I'll get a sword drop once every couple hours of gameplay. So like once every couple hours, I need to manage my loot.
Sure.
Versus every 2 minutes and 30 seconds for a greater rift, where you're like going through 15, 20 pieces.
Yeah. Or every second in PoE.
Yeah. Or like PoE's got so much loot vomit that you have to use filters to not see shit. Like that blows my mind.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, man? I mean, you've played them all.
Yeah, I like that you can like bind a key to pick up stuff. Like if you want to just pick up everything, you don't want to pick up everything, you spam a key instead of being like click, click, click. But if you just want to pick up the one thing, you have that option as well. It's nice to have that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, the upgrades in Lost Ark definitely feel more eventful, and because they're super rare, and I think that Diablo 4 said that they want to do something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things that Lost Ark just does way better than everything, but
yeah,
that's a whole.
So do you like the lower upgrade and inventory management, or do you like the Diablo 3 style, or maybe even PoE style, where there's just so much shit to go through? Is it fun for you, I guess, to ID every rift and look at it and be like,
That's a good question, because Yeah, I mean, I guess in PoE, like coming back to town, poof, I got a whole inventory of stuff that I need to look through. It does get like after you play it for like 3 hours a night, like maybe you start to like your eyes glaze over and like maybe you'll like miss an upgrade or like because you just never get anything that's good. Versus like Lost Ark, per every couple hours maybe you can upgrade, but that's you grinding and leveling up. It's not necessarily what
the end game is. Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see when I have more insight once I reach end game, but. Definitely different systems, man, and they all work well. Inventory management is a thing that I dislike a lot in a lot of games, and I don't feel like there's any game that's nailed it because you can't. As long as you're throwing loot at you, you're going to have to look at the loot and see if it's good or not. And like that was one of the huge drawbacks to Division 2 for me was the amount of loot they threw at you, and you had to look at every piece to see like is this good and compare and analyze every single piece. And it just became its own job. Like you could play the game for 3 hours and then you spend an hour of it managing loot, and it's like this is fucking dumb.
Sure.
This is not the way they should play. So
Lost Ark, there's plenty of inventory space. You can salvage from your inventory, which I really like. There's auto sort.
Yep.
Which is really, really nice.
There's filters and all kinds of things. Yeah.
So it's really good.
Yep. Let's see. Dirty says, Fluff, what are you looking forward to most about New Zealand?
So we went over our itinerary yesterday, and it's just nuts to go over. We are bungee jumping, the third highest bungee jump in the world in Queenstown.
That's crazy, dude.
So that's actually terrifying. I don't know. Honestly, it's for me, it's always about these big motorcycle trips. It's always about like being on the motorcycle and seeing like the beauty that is like the landscape and stuff like that. And I know that like I can't even probably fathom how crazy New Zealand's going to be in a lot of the areas. So I mean, honestly,
are you going to catch some Pokemon?
Like, do I play Pokemon Go? No.
Catch a New Zealand Pokemon.
No,
man.
I don't even have that on my phone.
Oh, you should.
No, hard pass.
Okay.
If you're playing Pokemon Go on vacation, you're doing it wrong. Don't do that.
I haven't. I'm just giving you a hard time. It's just funny because when Pokemon Go came out, Quinn had some YouTube videos of him like riding around catching Pokemon.
Yeah, he used to like IRL stream that shit. He would like walk around and he had it on his bike and shit.
Yeah, I remember watching it. So it just makes me think of that. Every time I think about New Zealand, I picture Quinn on his bike riding around catching Pokemon.
Right.
So,
which I don't think you could get away with now anymore. Because he was playing Pokemon while riding the bicycle, which is like.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Well, it was for YouTube. Was it Twitch?
No, it was Twitch.
I don't know.
He did that. Yeah.
Oh, was he Twitch too? Yeah. Interesting.
But what's interesting actually is Twitch allegedly, and this is just from watching some Quinn, is gonna like hook him up with like an IRL stream setup just to stream at ExileCon.
Wow. So they're giving him like one of those backpacks?
Yeah.
Have you seen those backpacks?
Yeah, man. It's like
you know what I'm talking about?
Fucking expensive. It's like 10K, 20K. Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were like 2K. Shit,
no,
they're
like
10.
Crazy expensive. Yeah.
Oh man, I thought they were like 2.
They get like
Holy
backup
shit.
modems, backup batteries,
yeah,
laptops and code and shit like
multiple Wi-Fi connections so that they drop out. Yep. Nuts, dude. Yeah, that's really cool. Dude.
Yeah.
I mean, GG's Twitch. Twitch has got to start doing something, man.
And honestly, of all the personalities, probably that's a pretty good choice. Like Quinn is literally exactly how he is on stream.
Yeah.
He's just.
Yeah. If you meet him, you're like, oh my god, it's the same. It's the same dude.
Focus, Quinn.
Yeah. Oh, Chinese.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Cool, man. Well, I hope New Zealand's awesome. I can't wait to see what PoE drops. I can't wait to see, what GGG's got up their sleeve. They're acting so fucking cocky, man. I hope it's something. I mean, they have to. They have to act cocky, but I really do hope that it's true. So,
I mean, Chris Wilson's a super smart guy, and it's hard to believe he would be cocky just for the sake of being cocky. He's just a smart dude. I agree with like 95% of the stuff that he says. So. Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm excited.
It'll be cool. It'll be super cool. And then maybe someday we'll get Lost Ark in North America, and then we'll have PoE 4.0, Lost Ark, and Diablo 4, all to choose from at the same time. True. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, guys, that's it. If you guys want to submit questions for episode 77, which will be December the 3rd, I believe. I'm going to double check that real quick. December the 3rd is going to be the next episode. So you got a couple weeks to think up some good questions. Feel free to tweet them at ThaPChild, at Lord__Fluffy. Join our Discords, et cetera, et cetera. And we'll be back in 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
So
Man,
enjoy
what are you guys
ExileCon,
gonna do?
man.
What are you guys even gonna do for no
okay.
podcast? Oh my god!
Give me your streamer key, and I'll keep your channel alive.
Yeah, you kill my stream. You actually kill my stream.
I would get on your channel and just play Destiny the whole time. So,
or like show your dick and get me banned or something. I could see that. Yeah.
Well, they'd be like, "Wow, that's
knock out the
impressive."
competition." I see. I see.
see.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Peace.
Peace out.